All right. So I know a little bit about you because I think we talked during your interview, and I found out that you grew up in Southern California.
I did.
And then in your introductory text broadcast, I found out that you were actually grew up in Huntington Beach, and you
I
you learned
Beautiful
to
place. Sorry, my dog's
surf.
he can't
Well,
make up his mind whether he wants to be in or out.
and so you said you loved surfing.
I do. Yeah, I grew up like 2 miles from the beach, like through high school.
Yeah.
And so that's when I really started going down to the beach with the boys and hitting them longboards and really cutting up.
So I've never been surfing. Like, what is it? I know that people who are into surfing are really into surfing. Like, what is it about it that you like so much?
Honestly, it's just being out there like early in the morning. Nobody's bothering you. Nobody's really out there except for the other surfers that are around you. And it's just like this like ultimate peace, right? Like this tranquility that you're up before everybody else and you're just out exploring the world kind of,
Yeah, yeah,
you
okay,
know?
yeah, I know that.
And then also when you catch a wave and you're just cutting through it, you're just like, damn, this is cool, Like it just you feel free.
That's cool. So, what are the waves like down there? Big waves?
No, not so much. Like, so there's a place in Newport called the Wedge that is like a lot of the old school guys, and you can get like, I don't know, 6 to 8 footers out there. But, and then surfing the south side of the pier was like also a good spot, but those are like 3 to 5s. They can get up to like 8 to 10s on like bad weather, but you're not surfing anything too big, not like big wave in Hawaii or nothing.
Okay. Have you ever been surfing anywhere else?
No, never.
Okay.
I did go to Florida one time and I went to the beach and I was surprised at how far I could walk out like and still only be in water up to my knees.
Yeah.
Because coming from the West Coast, you walk out, 10 feet and you're like, 12 feet underwater. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
All right. So, I'm kind of curious. I know you went to Culinary Academy, right?
I did. Yeah.
What was it that kind of led you to getting into cooking?
So I originally wanted to be a graphic designer and being in Huntington Beach, I was close to Cal State Long Beach. And I always have been into art and just artistic expression, right? And so I was looking to get into Cal State Long Beach for their graphic design program, but it was super impacted. And at the time, everybody wanted to be a graphic designer. And my grades weren't super great in high school. So inevitably, I started going to a local community college and I was like, this is for the birds. And I just started doing my own thing. And then I was like, man, I got to come up with something. I was like, maybe 20. And I was like, I got to do something with my life that like I can actually start a career. And so I went to the Art Institute just to talk to them about their culinary arts program. And they told me all these like illusions of grandeur, like you'll be on the Food Network and you'll open a restaurant. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yes, like that's me. And so I went to school and it was nothing like that. Like straight out of school, they're like, you get $8 an hour and you have to cut this lettuce. And you're like, what, dude? Like,
Yeah.
do you know how much money I'm paying right now? Like, oh man. But a lot of the people, like people always ask me like, should I go to culinary school? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Like if you go to culinary school, they teach you the basics and fundamentals, right? Which you can go to like some little workshop. Some chefs do workshops, and you can definitely learn there, and then go get a job in a restaurant, starting off in like the pantry station, which is just your salads and desserts, and you learn knife skills there, and then it's way easier to learn in a restaurant because what they teach you is like traditional French methods and like different cooking techniques. Whereas you get into the restaurant and they're like, just get it out. And like you learn all these cool tricks and like shortcuts. And like, you're just like, why have I been doing it this way? I mean, it's nice when you're at home and you're like, I'm going to do something phenomenal and you have all day to get it done. But then
Yeah.
you get into a restaurant and they're like, man, we needed that dish 4 minutes ago. And you're just like, yeah, chef.
Man, so really, so was there anything, if you could go back and do it over, you would not go to culinary school?
No, if I could go back and do it over, I would have gone to a code academy or like gone to school for a CS and done this from the
Oh,
jump because
yeah, there you
this
go.
is
Okay.
like like it's still artistic. I have the ability to be artistic, but I also have like literally the sky is the limit when it comes to like programming, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like you have an idea and it's just, you have this idea and then it's like problem solving to get the idea to work. And once the idea works, you're just like, damn, you know,
Yeah.
it's so much. And then you can also take that where there's like this mechanical aspect to it where everything works together, and then you layer it with this like beautiful UI, you know? And so you have like functionality and you have artistic beauty, and the two combined is like what I'm passionate about. And
Okay.
that's why I got into culinary arts, because it was like, it's functional, right? You can eat it. It
Yeah.
tastes great.
Yeah.
But like if it looks like, you know, baby spit on a plate, you're just like, oh. I mean, you can taste it, it's good, but people aren't gonna be like, hey, did you try that guy's baby spit? You know? So like frankly, like it was just, it was like the next step, right? You work in restaurants and you have no life. You work, you know, 18 hours a day as executive chef. Somebody doesn't show up, they call you on your day off to come cover it if they can't get anybody. I mean, you're working holidays, you're working nights, you get off at like 1 o'clock in the morning, and then what is there to do at 1 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah.
Trouble. That's what there is to do at 1 o'clock in the morning. I don't know if you're up that late, but it's always trouble.
Yeah.
So
So you were an executive chef?
I did, yeah. I made it up to executive chef. I started off as like, I was a sous chef for a Pacific Amphitheater in California at the Costa Mesa Fairgrounds. And so I started cooking like the summer concert series there. So I've cooked for like Willie Nelson, Earth, Wind and Fire, Three Dog Night. I cooked for Modest Yahoo, the Dirty Heads. I mean, the list goes on. And then I left when I left and came to Texas, because I had to get away. I wasn't living my best life out there. And so I came to Texas. And when I came out here, nobody cared about the school I went to. Nobody cared that I did catering. They were like, can you read tickets? Tickets being the box that haunts your dreams as a chef, like, and you like take the ticket. And so I started off at a Red Hot and Blue over on Preston, actually,
Okay. Yeah.
down the ways a bit. And they were like, you're not going to try to change our food, right? You know, what we have is what we have. And I'm like, dude, I don't care. Just let me work, you know? And so from there, I just started working my way up. So, I mean, they started me off. That was a hotline. That was like not even preparing food. That was just putting it on a plate, you know, pulling it out of a steam box. And then I worked at Henry's Tavern back when that was around. And I worked my way through the kitchen there. And then from there, I went offshore to the Gulf of Mexico, cooking on oil platforms for roughnecks. You are the executive chef if you cook out there. You plan the menus, you know, order the groceries. And it's like when you get groceries out offshore, it's not like, okay, hey guys, hey, put this stuff up. It's like the whole platform comes together because they're dropped on a box on the deck. And it's just like this human chain of like boxes. And then you go into the galley, which is your kitchen and dining room. And there's just boxes as high as you are. And yeah, so it taught me a lot about just being strong-willed and determined, because when you're on a boat all the time, it's like you can't get away from what troubles you or what bothers you. And like from there, I basically took everything I learned there, and then I went to go to Nola Grill in Frisco back when it was there, and I was executive sous chef there. And then I was like, man, I'm done cooking, and I started waiting tables for a little bit, and then the executive chef of that restaurant left to open 2 of his own restaurants, so I become friends. So I helped create a lot of the dishes and then started running those restaurants. And that, I don't know if you guys have heard of Edith's Patisserie. It's right over there off of 121. So we started that out in Mockingbird Station. And yeah, I was like, dude, I'm done. Like I was struggling with like my sanity, and I was like, I'm out. So I started doing home automation installations. And from there, I was like, hey, you know, it was all GUI based, but I was like, I'm programming home automation systems. I'm going to learn to code, right? And that's all she wrote.
Okay. Yeah. You mentioned you mentioned cooking for Willie Nelson, and that was another kind of like little fact that came up.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you about that. Like, how did that all come about? But I think you just explained that.
Yeah. There you go.
So when you cooked for those people, did you actually get to interact with them?
A little bit. One of the best was Weird Al. I cooked for Weird Al. He's completely vegan. And I had taken a box and I had cut holes in it for my eyes and like made this weird face on this box. And he was super cool. He came in, shook our hands. He said, thank you for the food. It was amazing. And then he just out of nowhere signs the side of my head with his box on my head. So that was probably one of the coolest. Yeah.
All right, cool. Okay, yeah, I got a bunch of other questions. I wrote them down because I didn't want to forget any of them. Um, one thing I was curious about, and you kind of touched on this a little bit, like you mentioned you had been an executive sous chef and an executive chef, and then you also mentioned when you start off in a restaurant, you start off at the
Pantry.
pastry pantry.
Pantry.
Like, what is the hierarchy? Like, what are the steps you work up through?
Well, so like pantry is the entry level because all you're doing is literally plating salads and plating desserts for the most part, which is a very easy station. It's fast paced, but it's a very quick station. You know, you also dish soups, right? And I mean that's got like some basil on the top and maybe some bread, and you send it out. So that's the initial place to start, or prep cook. It depends, right? But I skipped you. So the hierarchy like this, right? If you have no culinary experience, you want to get into the restaurant, you start as a dishwasher. You bust your ass as a dishwasher, you become a prep cook. You show that you have the skills and abilities to be the prep cook and make, the stuff like the soups. You pre-make those in the mornings. Pre-making, say crab cakes or whatever, and you make all this stuff and you put it in the cooler. And then once you get the hang of that, they'll put you in pantry, and that's where you get your speed up to like keep up with the tickets coming in. And from there, you go either to flat top or the grill, basically, and you kind of get the hang of that spot. And like the final spot, like before you hit like exec or sous chef, you hit the saute station. And station is so critical because it's like the most relied upon spot in most restaurants. Like I worked for a macaroni grill for a little bit, and like, I mean, look at that menu, it's all pasta,
Yeah.
and I worked saute one there. And so you're basically, every dish that's coming in, you're making pasta, and you have to be fast. You have, at one point they gave me 10 burners, right? And so you have to have like, I mean, you're not going to use all 10. You maybe have a couple that are on low heat just to hold stuff while you're waiting on plates or something. But I'd have 6 to 8 pans on the stove and making pasta in each one of them,
Yeah.
And so it's like literally grab a pan, throw stuff in it, put it back, grab a pan, throw stuff in it, come back, shake those two and grab the next two. And so it's really like a time management thing. It's really like organizational type thing. And so that's kind of like, that's the upper echelon. That's where you want to be. Like when you walk into a kitchen and you're like, I'm the new saute chef, and everybody's like, like what's your pedigree? Like where do you come from? So
Yeah. Do you have were there any chefs that you looked up to?
Yeah, a lot. I mean, other than like television chefs, right? So, I mean, I love Gordon Ramsay, right? I think everybody does. He's a dick, but he knows what he wants. He knows what's right. And if I worked for a guy like him, his name was Nick Totten, and he was the owner and chef operator of Nola Grill. And working for him was like working in an old school kitchen. He was old school. So if you mess up, you were getting like pots, pans thrown at you. Like, I mean, I got hit in the chest with a plate with a grilled cheese on it because I didn't cook it long enough. And it was like the cheese was still raw on the inside. And he's like, that's bullshit, And you're just like, yeah, chef. And you get after it. So it's like very militant in some ways. So people like that I really look up to and aspire. I used to aspire to be, right? Because that old school way of working, it holds you accountable for your actions, and you have nobody to blame but yourself. There is no excuse. Why is this not cooked? Well, what happened was the tickets got I don't care. It was your responsibility to cook it. I don't care if I call you and tell you I need that crab cake in 1 minute, and you give me a crab cake in 1 minute that's undercooked and I send it out, right? Then I don't care. You tell me, no, chef, I'll give it to you in a minute and a half, 2 minutes, right?
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where it comes down to literally seconds sometimes, the difference between like good and bad, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I'm curious about this. What is the funniest or maybe the most outrageous story you have about working in a restaurant?
I don't know, man. I don't know. Let me think. There's a lot.
I was wondering when you just said that, I'm like, no, there must be something. And because when I first thought about this, I'm like, well, there can't be just one.
No, there's so many, and most of them like, So I go back to Nola Grill a lot because that was like my love. Like Nola Grill is like my first love, right? I don't know why. It was just one of those kitchens where everybody like you have a team in a kitchen, you all work together, and it's so crucial that every part of the team be on the same page, right? And so when you have everybody on the same page, you can literally be in the crap, right? Like in the middle, like storming the beach at Normandy crap, right?
Yeah.
So, but as long as everybody's working together, everybody's got each other's back, and it's just like this orchestra where hands are flying within inches of each other, but everything's landing where it's supposed to be, and there's no collisions, and there's just communication that's almost it's almost like a cadence, right? And
Yeah.
so you get in these rhythms, but oftentimes we considered ourselves pirates. Um, and so we would honestly we'd be singing like pirate shanties in the kitchen, or like we'd be like on like a dead Saturday or a dead Sunday. We'd literally be in the kitchen, football on the radio, and we'd be like swabbing the deck. But like our chef was cool, so we did a lot of drinking in the kitchen also.
Okay.
And so I mean, there'd be chef would bring us in beers or shots, or he'd be like, y'all can bring in whatever you want on a slow night. And so it would start with us singing pirate shanties and end with us having like a Michael Jackson dance off cleanup session. Like we'd be doing like Michael Jackson, like moonwalking through the kitchen as we mop. Like, I don't know, it's
Yeah.
crazy. It was just, it's just, there's so many experiences that are funny and so many that are not. And like, it's really this roller coaster of emotion in restaurants, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So besides cooking and programming, what are your interests?
I am absolutely in love with Magic the Gathering.
Okay.
Um,
The card game, right?
yeah, yeah. I'll play that a lot. Xbox, I play like Call of Duty a lot, and like I'm kind of ashamed to say, and my girlfriend makes fun of me for it, but I just started playing Minecraft with my brother and my buddy,
Okay.
and it's kind of embarrassing to like. It's so fun to just go into this world and you got to like harvest trees to build a house. And you're like, what? So yeah, that too. And then disc golf. I'm a huge fan of disc golf.
So you play disc golf around here?
I do. Yeah, there's a lot of courses. There's like two in McKinney, two in Frisco, a big one in Louisville. There used to be like Bear Creek that was on the other side of Louisville. I can't remember what's over there, but yeah, there's some in Dallas.
Do you play on a team or is it just like pickup games with friends?
It's just me and my friends. We'll grab a backpack, throw some beers in it, grab our discs, and go out for a day. Yeah,
All right.
it's fun, especially when you start getting good at it and like you pick the disc for the shot,
Oh, you
or
got
even you pick the.
I don't know anything about it's kind of like frisbee.
So they're actual discs. They're a little bit shaped a little bit different. They're a lot thinner. They're more aerodynamic. So
Okay.
whereas a frisbee will like kind of float,
Yeah.
like a disc will literally cut through the wind and the air. And depending on how you throw, you do a forehand or a backhand, you can tomahawk it. I mean, there's all sorts of different shots.
Okay.
And they all do different things. You can release it high, you can release it low, late, early. And based off that, it's going to be the trajectory of how your disc flies,
And are
So
you trying to get it into a basket or a target?
yeah, so they got there's these posts, and then there's this basket on the bottom. So it's like this post, and on that post there's a basket, and
Okay.
then there's a circle at the top, and it's got chains going toward the middle of the basket. And so those chains are meant to like catch your disc and drop it in the basket.
Got it.
But if you get a bad angle on it, they'll fly right through the chains, and you've just missed your shot.
Yeah. So how long is a typical game?
It depends. I mean, if you're playing with two people that are decent, you can knock a game out in maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours. If you're playing with a lot of people and you've brought a cooler with you, it could take you all damn day.
Yeah.
But also you got people behind you. And so like if you're playing a slower game where you guys are just cutting up and not really like, on a mission, you just let people play through,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, I mean, you can make it as long or as short as you want.
Cool. So kind of going back a little bit to Magic the Gathering. That's
Yeah.
uh, So you actually play with the physical cards, not like on a
I do,
PC?
yeah. I play both. I play on the computer and I also play MTG Arena, and then I'll play physical cards. It's been a while since I played the physical cards because I play in a meta called Standard, which is like only the newest like 4 sets. So I could buy cards today and they'd probably be out of date in like maybe a year. And like when you say buy cards, like decks are like $200-300
Wow. Wait, for
for
how
like
many cards?
competitive decks. 60 cards. There's roughly like 18 to 20 lands in those 60 cards, and you have a 15 card sideboard.
So 60 cards and you're going to pay 200 to $300?
That's I mean that's for standard meta. That's like pretty cheap. If you start getting into modern, my buddy's got a deck worth almost 2 Gs.
Wow.
Yeah, for 60 cards. Well,
Okay.
60, 75 cards.
I'm trying to understand that. So you just go and buy the, why is it so much?
Well, so certain cards do certain things, right? Everything has like these attributes and characteristics of these cards, and some cards are more rare than others. They don't print as many,
Yep.
and basically the only way to get them is to buy packs, or you go to the comic store and you literally go buy the cards. So you trade them. They're trading cards.
Okay.
But you build these decks, and these decks, they have certain characteristics and attributes to each deck that make them special, and they have like combos. So if you play a certain card and then follow it up with another card, and then you play another card, it like does this. They do these like weird interactions that like it's almost like a chess game, but like more intricate, because in a chess game you got a certain pieces and they move a certain way,
Okay.
but you have a certain, it would be like if you combined a rook with a knight, you could then move diagonally backwards and then make the L shape. I
Right.
don't,
Right.
you know.
Yeah. So the only way to get the cards, you either buy them in packs, like I've seen packs of cards at stores.
Mhm.
So if I was to make, let's say to use baseball cards,
Okay.
if I wanted all of the all stars from this past season of baseball cards, I couldn't just go to the store necessarily and buy them. I'd have to buy packs, rip them open, and try and get that collection. Or I could maybe go online or go someplace where someone is selling a pack that they had done that or bought it from someone. So that's why it's so much.
Yeah, like there's some cards that are worth some really old cards that are worth like $800 a piece per card. And you may have a deck where you have like 2 or 3 of these cards in that deck, right?
Wow.
And that's how they start getting so pricey.
Those older cards, are they more collectibles more so than
Yeah,
you're actually going to
yeah, a
play with
lot of
them?
them. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yep.
Yeah, I kind of have played just a little bit, and I guess there are other card games like that where you collect cards and play. Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Uh,
They have these big Friday night Magic gatherings too, like at Madness Comic Shop, Doc's Comic Shop. If
yeah.
you go in there on a Friday night, you'll see at Madness. If you go in there on a Friday night, there'll be like 200 people playing Magic in that one location.
Wow.
Yeah.
They're playing tournaments or something. They do
Yeah,
tournaments.
they're like mini tournaments. Yeah. It's
Okay.
every Friday though. Yeah. It's fun.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay. Let me ask you just a random question. So, pick a number between 1 and 9.
Hit me with 9, man.
9.
Take it to the end.
Okay, this is interesting. Who are the 3 people who have been the most influential to you?
Oh man. Oh, that straight almost brings tears to my eyes. No, my dad for sure.
Yeah.
My dad was a single father and raised me and my brother by himself. From the time like I think I was 11 and my brother was in diapers.
Yeah.
So to see my dad like literally work his way from losing everything to we were in a studio apartment in Whittier in like the ghetto. And then my dad worked his ass off and took us to a 1-bedroom in a ghetto, and then worked his ass off and took us into a 2-bedroom and not so ghetto. And then he got us all our own rooms in a nice part of Huntington Beach, which was really cool. So definitely my dad for sure is number one, top, first and foremost. Um, Influences in my life, man. Probably my best friend's dad. My best friend's dad was actually the pastor of our church, and he took me kind of under his wing because I would be over there all the time with my friend. And he became like, after my dad passed, he became like my second dad, right?
Mhm.
Um, but he gave me a lot of guidance and insight and like lessons in life. And like, honestly, before coming to Call 'em All, he's the dude I was like, because I was working for another company, and when I left them, they were without a developer, right? I mean, they had an offshore team, but I had the main knowledge, and I had to call him because I felt conflicted about it. I felt bad about it, and I had to call him to kind of give me some insight. So I definitely look up. He aspires me to be like a better person, and to just really like keep my eyes out for everybody and just show love and compassion. So he's definitely a big influence in my life. And then I don't know, Bruce Willis for making
Really?
so many diehards, bro. Like, and not giving up, like
How,
just sticking with it.
how many did he make? I
I think it
know
was
like
like five, four or
really.
five.
Wow.
Die Hard, Die Hard 2, Die Hard with a Vengeance, and then so like maybe four.
Yeah, I don't know. I
Or I
watched
could say
the first
Sly
one.
Stallone for making all the Rocky movies. Like,
Yeah,
gee,
and the Rambo movies,
oh god, yeah.
Rocky and Rambo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those two guys for showing me what determination and like perseverance and just not quitting or giving up even though you probably should.
Yeah.
No, I don't really have a third, man.
Okay. That's cool. Those two are really good examples.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you would like people at Call 'em All to know about you?
Um, I don't know. To be authentic, like I came from nothing, you know, and I've worked my way out of like living in the ghetto and living in hoods to like living like the best life I possibly can and being so positive and outgoing and like happy.
Yeah.
And like I don't know, stay happy around me, you know? Like
Yeah.
don't bring negativity in. Not saying that anybody would, but like that, and like please don't talk bad about dogs, and I promise I won't talk bad about cats. I know I've done it already, but
Really?
I take
Okay.
it back. Shouldn't I love your cats?
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah. Yeah.
So when you say don't bring negativity around you, what do you mean by that?
Like can't. Do you people say they can't all the time, right?
Yeah.
Or people make excuses, but honestly excuses are just that, excuses. The minute we stop making excuses, stop saying we can literally achieve anything we want to achieve. And I truly believe that from the bottom of my heart. So negativity in a sense of like can't, don't ever say you can't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can. You can, because whatever says you can't is followed by an excuse, right?
Yeah. I
So
feel sort of the same way about when people say I don't have time.
yeah.
Uh, and it's more a matter of priorities. Like you do have time, you're just not going to make time for it, and that's cool. But just understand that you're saying it's not a priority right now.
Exactly. Just be like, I won't. Like I
Yeah.
really don't want to. Like if I don't know, if somebody asks me to do something, I'm not gonna be like I can't. I'm gonna either be like, hey, I got this going on, which is
Yeah.
a true statement, or I'm gonna be like, I really don't want to. You know,
Yeah.
like not to be rude, I just really don't want
Yeah.
to.
So when someone comes to you with that, what do you say to them?
Come to me with what?
Like if you noticed that there was someone who was saying I can't do this, I can't do that. Um,
It really depends on what the can't is, right? Because I got friends that come to me all the time, and I'm like, they're like struggling about something, like especially my cousin, right? For instance, she's working from home and she's now sitting down at a computer, which she hasn't had to do ever, and have these video chats and video conferences. And she's like, I just can't get this done. And I'm like, no, you can. Like in that instance, it's like, no, you can. Like instead of being negative about it and saying you hate this and people are never going to do this, like you don't know your feet. Like I'll ask her, where are your feet? My feet are underneath me right now. They have not approached that situation. So there's no use in dwelling on what's going to happen there until my feet approach that situation, because I can talk about the what ifs or the things that keep me and keep me saying can't, right?
Yeah.
Like once my feet get there, we'll see what happens and we'll take it from there. But there's no use in me going, well, I know what you're going to say, or I know what you're going to do. Like, no, I don't know what you're going to say. I get surprised all the time if I judge or make assumptions, right? Because we make assumptions, and let's assume we're wrong. You know, if you're going to make an assumption, assume you're wrong, you know? So
Yeah.
I don't know. That's my philosophy. But also there's situations where you also have to pick and choose your battles, right? Because you can't fight every little battle. You get worn down and you get tired. But if you pick the right ones, then you don't need to have the wrong ones, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just find the ones that can make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. Well, man, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me.
Absolutely.
And I will see how this records and get it up on YouTube so everyone else can hear you.
Cool, man. Let's hope we don't have to take a take two, because
Yeah.
all of that was authentic and genuine.
Yeah.
And if I try to
Yeah.
come out with it again, I'm going to forget everything.
All right.
All
All right,
right.
cool. Thanks.
Thanks, Jeff. Later, man.